Crack a cold one. Boot up the system. Bad decisions, baby. Let's ride. Let's ride. Mud on the tires, dust on the screen. Late night grind with the gamer fiend. Headset loud, speakers bang. Patch notes, drama all in the game. Coffee and cold, whiskey and wins. From indie builds to world-class spins. Controller dirty, laptop clean. Living that life in between the scenes. No rules, no lane. We play our way from the backwoods to the main stage. Woo! Bad decisions gaming. We getting it done. Country roots with a digital gun. Yeah, bad decisions gaming. All gas, no brakes from patch day drops to late night takes. Turn it up, lock it in. Bad decisions gaming. Let's win.
War plans, it didn't break Diablo builds, it exposed them. Some builds got completely exposed, and some builds suddenly became immortal. Because for the first time in a long time, Diablo IV stopped asking, how fast can we farm? And started asking, can your build actually survive the entire game? And tonight, we're talking about war plans, recycled endgame systems, why the Barbarian feels so unkillable, and why some builds completely collapsed, and whether Blizzard accidentally exposed Diablo 4's biggest balance problem. This is Bad Decisions Gaming. Welcome in, everybody, to the show. I'm Victor, and tonight we're diving into the biggest design conversations happening right now in Diablo 4. War plans didn't break the build, it exposed them. And honestly, I think this is way deeper than D4 bad or Blizzard ruined balance. This gets into an ARPG psychology, a reward system, build design, player behavior, and how Blizzard is trying to force players to engage with all of Diablo 4's endgame. So, if you want your first reactions, okay, so messed up. Has your war plans made your build feel stronger, weaker, or completely different? Because it's changed the way the endgame is played out. Like, did your build survive in the previous season? And now, does it feel terribly outside of its comfort zone? So, let's start with the biggest thing first here. War plans is not really new content. That's the first important piece of this. It is not brand new content. Before war plans, players basically optimized pit farming, hell tides, infernal hordes, nightmare dungeons, and boss rotations. And eventually, the community always found one best route. Always. ARPG players optimize everything. What Blizzard realized, the moment players discover the fastest XP, the best loot, easiest farm, safest route, everything else becomes dead content. And that's exactly what happened. So, what did Blizzard do? Instead of adding entirely new gameplay systems, they restructured it and they rewarded that structure. And that's the important part on this. War Plans is essentially Blizzard saying, we already have content. And now we need players to actually play all of that content. And that's the key behind the system. So, do rewards create content? And that's part of the real discussion as well. Because ARPGs are basically repeating content for rewards. So, if Blizzard changes incentives, progression, loot flow, and the activity value, does old content suddenly feel new? So, this is the core argument tonight. The war plans didn't break builds, it exposed them. Before war plans, many builds optimized into one thing: speed clearing, boss deleting, farming density, and pit pushing. And because players controlled their environment, those weaknesses stayed hidden. And now, War Plan rotates players through different modifiers, different enemies, different pacing, different encounter types, and different pressures, which means builds are being stress tested far more consistently. And honestly, Diablo 4 stopped testing how fast your build is and started testing how complete your build is. A lot of builds looked incredible because enemies died instantly. Farming routes were predictable, mechanics barely mattered, and sustain wasn't heavily tested. And war plans disrupted that rhythm, and suddenly your character's weaknesses became very obvious. And some players are now yelling out, "Oh, my build got destroyed." But technically, many builds weren't nerfed. They were exposed outside their ideal farming environment, and that is very different. What build got exposed the hardest by war plans? And what build suddenly feels stronger than ever? Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room. You guys have been playing this. It's the Barbarian. And the Barbarian looks insane right now. Barbarian naturally excels at sustain, fortify, damage reduction, self-healing, unstoppable uptime, layered defenses, and war plans heavily rewards it. Consistency and survivability. And that's the key in this season. Before, speed dominated Diablo 4, and now survival matters far more. The Barbarian thrives in that environment. And some builds were tanky. The Barbarian feels fundamentally unkillable right now, though. Some builds only survived because enemies died first, mechanics were skipped, content was predictable. But now war plans increases sustained pressure, encounter variety, unavoidable combat situation, which means True defensive scaling suddenly matters way more. And this is huge. War plans accidentally created a generalist meta. Flexible builds now outperform glass cannons, the niche specialist, and the hyper optimist farm builds. In many situations, that changes everything. And should Diablo IV reward specialization or universal survivability? That's the balance debate. And this is where the community is getting really divided. A lot of players are now arguing war plans should be account wide. And honestly, I can understand why. ARPG players love re-rolling. They love their alt characters. They love experimenting. They love trying new builds. And periodically, a bunch of us enjoy chasing that meta. But now, every new character may feel like repeating system progression again. Blizzard wants us to build diversity with our characters while accidentally discouraging character diversity. If players feel punished for re-rolling, forced into long regrinds, and trapped into one character, the experimentation drops. And experimentation is the heart of ARPGs. Now, to be fair, some players may argue grinding new character is the genre, and they may or may not be right or wrong. But ARPGs have always been repetition, progression, seasonal rerolls, rebuild cycles. So Blizzard is kind of stuck between replayability versus burnout. So, should war plans progression be character based, or should it be full count wide? And why? To me, if I start a brand new character and I jump into war plans, it starts with the most basic and simplest of instances. And I only have to do 2 to progress. Now, if I jump in with a brand new character and my account's already well advanced, those mechanics that I've unlocked on that character are going to decimate my brand new character. The butcher spawns in every dungeon. This happens and that happens, and all this other mechanics that I've implemented into my instances through war plans is just going to decimate what I want for, like, with my brand new character. So I see both sides. It is a bit of grind, but you'll advance a lot faster if you don't have all those added mechanics impeding your progress, right? So the deeper conversation. Blizzard wants engagement and variety, broader content, participation, longer seasonal retention, and healthier content distribution. What the players want is efficiency, optimization, mastery, repetition, and consistency. And a lot of these clash. Some don't, some do. Now, players naturally optimize fun out of games. It's kind of messed up, but it happens. The second something becomes slightly faster, slightly easier, slightly more rewarding, the community funnels it into their way of life. And that's the ARPG culture when you're dealing with a large group of people. Warplan is Blizzard's fighting against player optimization culture. And that's true. Should Blizzard force gameplay diversity? Or should ARPGs fully embrace player optimization? And that right there is the real war happening right now. So, war plans didn't expose weak classes, or it exposed incomplete builds. Players don't actually want variety as much as they think they do? Question. Or, Barbarian isn't overpowered because damage. It's overpowered because it ignores the game. The more Blizzard forces actively variety, the more unstable balance becomes. The real Diablo IV endgame problem was never content quantity. It was reward structure. You get a really good reward in Diablo IV right now for doing war plans, which you never got for doing the exact same content last season. Now you actually get a solid reward out of running this content. So, final question. If you designed Diablo 4's endgame, would you focus on more activities, better rewards, more build diversity, maybe account-wide systems, or deeper progression? And what actually fixed the long term? Would you be able to go months on end with your design? So, because this isn't just about Diablo 4 anymore, it's about ARPG design, player psychology, progression systems, and the eternal war between developers and optimized culture. If you enjoyed this episode, follow, subscribe, join the Discord, and let us know your thoughts below. Did war plans break builds or expose them? This has been Bad Decisions Gaming, where the loot is temporary, but the bad decisions are forever. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Crack a cold one. Boot up the system. Bad decisions, baby. Let's ride. Let's ride. Mud on the tires, dust on the screen. Late night grind with the gamer fiend. Headset loud, speakers bang. Patch notes, drama all in the game. Coffee and cold, whiskey and wins. From indie builds to world-class spins. Controller dirty, laptop clean. Living that life in between the scenes. No rules, no lane. We play our way from the backwoods to the main stage. Woo! Bad decisions gaming. We getting it done. Country roots with a digital gun. Yeah.